Okay, sorry about that. That was my mother. Anyway, so what I want to say is, so we're in July, right? Now I had moved from California to Oklahoma, and in my mind, I was trying to make things work. Like I was just like buying time is what I was doing, because in my mind I knew, I was like, I can't stay with this person another day. Like, I'm just so unhappy. But I never voiced this opinion, because every time I would ever say anything, it was like, you're just moody. You're having a nervous breakdown. You're crazy. Your children are leaving the nest, so you're like freaking out and all that. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Like, I know my heart, So I just finally shut up. I never said another word. I was just like, I'm going insideward. And that's what I used to do when I was a little girl too. Like, you internalize so much when you have like chaos around you. I'm sure some of you, if you've ever been in tragic environments when you're little, you understand me. I don't need to explain it. So anyway, I went inside, and so I just decided I'm going to create this world inside my mind, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to escape. Basically, is kind of what I thought, because I couldn't tell anyone, because I felt like everyone would try to keep me from doing it, and I knew what I was going to do. I was like, I don't care what anyone says. I'm doing this. You know what I mean? I'm tired of saying what I don't mean, and I'm not going to live like this not one more day. Now, I told you I would tell you the experience, but I'm not going to today because it's way entirely too long. But something tragic happened. Not tragic, but something really big. It was like epiphany happened to me in California right before I moved. So we're going on, and this is about 6 months, because we're into the new year. The kids go back to school after Christmas break and all that sort of thing. So we're up to July. Now, I decided I was going to start. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter. She's my youngest, my only daughter, and I'm going to go to my parents' house in Florida and stay for the summer, like 2 weeks, like everybody does it. And so she had her best gal that lived, not far from here, because we lived for 10 years in Orlando. So she's like, oh, can I go, mommy? And we'll go to like fun parks and things like that. And then I go stay with my friend. And I said, yeah, that'd be great, because I really needed like a reprieve. Like, I needed to get away and like just let my mind think and be alone by myself, like not having to pack lunches, not having to deal with a mate, not having to do laundry. I needed a vacation. And so I came back. Me and my daughter flew down here, and we stayed for 2 weeks. And I really liked it. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to move here, and my parents would let me stay here until I get enough money. Like, I'll just like do cleaning jobs and like side jobs and stuff, because I know how to do a lot of stuff. Like, I have degrees, my dad's a carpenter. Like, I know how to do a lot of shit, right? So I'm very much like, jack of all trades, master of none, except for master manifester. I am that. But anyway, so yeah, so we come down here, then we go back, right? So in the meantime, my daughter's staying with her friend, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm like, oh, I really like it. I bet you my parents would let me like surf on the couch. And but I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm doing. So what I'll do is, like have a little law of attraction workshop. We have this gorgeous place. It's like a plantation home, and it's like built in the 1800s. It's like Victorian. And I said, I'll have a little workshop for law of attraction and like manifesting and all that sort of thing. So I ended up, we're going now to August, right? And so I had been doing this, taking the bath and doing the fun things or whatever, but I'd never said anything, right? Now, at the time, understand this, I had my YouTube channel, right? So I had my YouTube channel for about, a year and a half. And so I had built up like a good page. Like, honestly, my ex-husband probably gave me a lot of people like that would sign up and like my fan page on the Facebook. So I had thousands and thousands of people that followed me. Like, most of them probably, not most of them, but a lot of them were for like people we knew growing up, or from a hometown, or, you know, all the different states we had lived in. And so like I had lots of people that I thought were friends, you know what I mean? But like lots of people on my fan page. So I had switched that over like in California. And when I moved to Oklahoma, so this is about 7 months, right? So 6-7 months, July, August, I started thinking, I don't like having just a fan page, because I had converted my regular standard personal page to a fan page, because I'm like, I don't use both of them. It was just too much for me to like keep up with. So I converted it all, and not realizing you can't go back, right? So you can't go back to a personal page if you start a fan page. I didn't know you couldn't merge them more than once. So that was one of the synchronicities. I did not know that my Jeffree Sean was following on my YouTube channel, would watch me ramble on for odds hours of in, you know, I did not know who he was. I had never heard of him. I had never heard of his name, but he had grown up like 5 miles down the road from me when I was a little girl. Like we grew up together, but we never knew each other. I never heard of him, not the name, nothing. So one day, after I had done that, and I was real distraught about it, because I was like, I don't like the fan page, because you can't interact with, like, you can't see other people's feed. You know what I mean? Like, you can only see your feed. And if someone interacts with you on your Facebook. So I'm thinking, I don't like this. I want a personal page again. Like, I don't like this. I don't get to talk to my friends. I don't get to see people. I don't get to see my family and all that. And now, mind you, now this is another thing. A week prior to that, I was talking to my ex-mate, right? And I was saying, I don't like not having, you know, because he was always on social media, you know, it was his career and everything. And so I said, I don't really like having Facebook fan page. I want both, you know, because I don't like this. I don't feel like I can interact. Like, I like to be like truthful and transparent. And I feel like I'm like, I don't feel that. And so he said something to me, but this was a synchronicity that the universe worked in my favor. He says, he goes, you know, I don't care what you do. He goes, but you know what? You really need to stop putting so many personal selfies on your page. That's all you do is put selfies on your page. And so it made me, I reverted right back to like feeling insecure, feeling, you know, because I thought I did have gorgeous pictures, like really beautiful pictures. And they weren't just like stupid selfies in the bathroom either. You know what I mean? Like they were really nice. But he gave me more of a complex. That's what people that are sociopaths and things like that, that's, you know, narcissistic people, they will do that to you. They trigger you. So what happened was, I became a bit fumbled about that. And so I let it start getting into my head, because, you know, like when you're in that environment for so long, like decades, you think that's normal. So then when you get in the real life and you're like, oh my gosh, that's completely dysfunctional. You don't know it at the time. So I was still in the thick of this marriage for 24 years. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm really a bad person because I put too many pictures of me and showing my face and everything. Because I thought that's what you do on a fan page. Like, no one wants to see the back of you. Like, don't you want to see the person that you're like trying to communicate with, or like learning about, or wanting to understand about law of attraction? It didn't make any sense to me. And so, but anyway, I became very insecure about it. So I went through my entire page, because I was like, I'm going to create a new personal page again. And so all of these people I'm asking now at this point, like, in order to create a Facebook page at that time, you know, they will recommend or say, suggestion here, you might know this person, you got 20 mutual friends, right? So I took all my photographs that showed my face and hid them. So if it was like me from the back or something, I would blur this part of my face out and you would just see like my pretty dress or something. And so I did that on all my photographs. So then when I go to, now that's synchronicity, think about that. I'm just thinking this is normal. I'm going about, like, I'm wanting to figure out how to get a new standard, regular personal Facebook page. So what do? You start clicking add friend, add friend, add friend when it comes up in the suggestion bar, right? Well, I saw Jeffrey's face and I knew that he had been on my fan page. He was on my fan page because on occasion I would see him comment or like a picture of me or something. And I didn't know he was watching my YouTube. I had no idea he was watching or that he was a subscriber to it. So I'm just tapping all these numbers because I'm like, I want a regular personal page. So I'm tap. So I see this picture of Jeffrey, and I didn't think about it at all. I didn't even recognize or register anything, but I just remember every time I would see him in that green shirt, which is funny because he still has that damn green shirt picture. He's so non-social. That's why you never see him. He's completely polar opposite than my ex-husband. So he does not like his picture taken. He's just very, very funny like that. And so he does not do social media. Rarely ever. And so anyway, so I tapped it, add friend. Well, about a week goes by. I'm not thinking anything about it. I'm just like excited, like, oh, I got a page. I set up my pictures and all that sort of thing. But now, mind you, remember that on my fan page, which I kept as well, no pictures of me on my face. So now, I didn't know, but Jeffrey is getting another friend request from someone he thought he was already friends with. Do you see what I'm saying? It's so amazing how this stuff works, So a week goes by, I get this messenger message, and it's on my fan page, and he says, is this the Raquel so-and-so, my last name, my old last name. I don't want to say what it is because I never want to give credit where credit's due, or that's not necessarily it. It's just I don't want to have my ex-man, like, I don't know what he would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather not say my last name. Probably you know what it is anyway, right? You Google me. So Jeffrey sends me this message, and he's like, and mind you, I've only ever seen him like a picture or put a comment like lovely or something like that, but never like inappropriate or anything. Like, just very nice, but he'd go away for a long time. I wouldn't see things on. But I just remember I saw him like one time on my fan page, and I was just like, and that was it. But nothing, because I'm married. I'm not thinking of that, I'm not thinking Facebook, finding a soulmate twin flame. No. Anyhow, he says in the message, are you the same Raquel so-and-so? Because I thought I was already friends with you. And he says, is this the legitimate account? Because I thought that I was already friends with you. And so then I had to say, oh, golly. And then I explained. I'm like, no. And he's like, well, I'm a friend. Obviously I'm a friend and I'm a subscriber on your YouTube channel. And so, and he's like, and the other thing that I didn't quite understand was, so I explained the whole story about like what I just told you, okay? And then he says, the other thing that I've noticed is, why did you stop doing, I'm not trying to be like weird or anything, but he's like, why did you stop putting lovely pictures of you? Because your fans and people that watch your YouTube channel really like seeing visual pictures of you. Like, it's lovely, He wasn't gross or anything inappropriate. He's just like, didn't understand why all my photographs were no longer like of my face. Now, I didn't go on to, rattling on about what actually had happened, but it made me, it solidified like, no, actually, it's all right that I post pictures with my face on it, And so anyway, that was that, okay? That was that. That's all. Now, fast forward to, now this had all happened in California, okay? I mean, not California. I had the page since California. I mean, I'd had it a long time, my Facebook fan page. And then this all happened in August. August, right before I was coming to visit my folks with my daughter, remember? Like that July for the summer. And so that was when I was doing all of that, changing everything. And so, so then my daughter and I, we have like a lovely time. I go back to Oklahoma, and then I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I want to leave. I really hate this place. I don't like it. I was miserable. I didn't want to be there in the first place. I want to stay in California. So I decide I'm going to take another trip by myself and do the workshop. Now, in the process of this, I'm doing dishes, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm preparing my trip. And I didn't know how the fuck I was going to get there because I had no money. And I did not want my husband to know what I was doing, because if he says, no, I don't, he's going to stop me, right? He's going to stop me from leaving and going back. If he knows she's never fucking come back, she's going and she's never coming back. Now, mind you, I had no idea still who Jeffrey Sean was. I had only talked to him, you know, that one time or whatever on the Facebook. So we're friends now on the on the regular page and personal page and all that, but he kind of went away and I didn't know what happened, but I was like, whatever, you know. So then I get another message. And because now, mind you, side note, I'm still doing that, taking a bath, talking about all these wonderful things about my soulmate. I'm doing all the scenes and everything. No one knows this but me. On the other side of the world, of the country, the universe is working things out, right? So I do this contest for my YouTube channel because I wanted to get more subscribers at the time. Like, this was 2015. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do a contest. And so because I'm a mermaid, I'm like, oh, I love tea and I love coffee. You know, well, I'm not a coffee person, but a lot of people coffee people. And I love that Starbucks is, you know, what is their logo? It's a mermaid. So I thought that would be cool. I'll give out gift cards. And so I'll do you had to answer a question in the YouTube video that I said, you got to be able to answer this, and then we'll put it in a fisher's net, and then we'll collect the answer. Now, it's still on there if you ever look, like Catch of the Day or something. It's on my YouTube channel in the past. Now, I had no idea still what happened. So everybody that watched that video, they got put in the fisher's net. Like, I wrote the name down, whatever, like, and then I was going to draw the name, and whoever won got the Starbucks gift cards, right? I would mail it to them, blah, blah, blah. It was just a contest, okay? So I put the names in, and I remember thinking, like, when I wrote Jeffrey's name down, I still didn't know, like, I didn't connect that, like, he was the same person in the green shirt. I had no clue. I did not recognize it. But I remember when I wrote that name down, I was like, oh, I kind of wish he would win. In my mind, I thought that, like, right quickly. And are you bored stiff? I hope not. It's like 18 minutes in this bitch, you know. But anyway, so I remember thinking, like, oh, I would like him to win. But I didn't think anything of it. That was all. And so, oh my God, my ex-mate ends up, I said, you know what? So that we have this, you know, like, it's equal and fair game, you know, fair game or whatever. I said, why don't you, my ex-mate, like, you pick the video, like, you pick the name out of the catches, you know, the fisher's net. And so he did, and it ended up being Jeffrey Sean. Now, mind you, I had no idea still at this point who he was, right? So okie dokie. Well, I was continuing that video, even though I look different, but I'm just, you know, splicing it together. What I was saying is Jeffrey Sean was selected to receive the gift card for the Starbucks, right? So I mail it off and say how sorry I am that it was late and all that sort of thing. So didn't think anything else about it, you know. Snippet of one of those synchronicities that I believe was so, like, really neat, you know. So when those things were occurring, although at the time I had no idea what was going on, it was building up to something, which I believe now, looking back, that it was me manifesting these signs. That's sort of what it was, but I had no idea. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. So fast forward to remember, I was bringing you up to me taking the trip to my parents' house now, and I was going to pack 2 suitcases, and I was going to leave. I didn't know initially if I was going to, but the thought had crossed my mind that if I was able to get the money, to get to Florida, I wanted to stay there. And I think in my mind somewhat I had thought, well, I'll come back. Obviously, I mean, because my children were in Oklahoma, although I didn't do any of that. I just had planned on having a trip and doing that workshop, right? And so the things that after that were so lovely, like really interesting. And so I had started meditating and also like doing the art of appreciation. If you've ever heard of like Abraham Hicks, like I would do those things too. So I'm sure that those things helped as well. But now that I know what I know about Neville Goddard, which I love him more, which, you know, isn't that interesting that all of the people that are like these mystics, that are like these spiritual advisors and things like that, like Abraham Hicks, which is Esther Hicks, she's a Pisces, I'm a Pisces, Neville Goddard, Pisces. I mean, I just think it's interesting. You know, Einstein's a Pisces. Anyway, so I like saying that I'm in, you know, that same kind of comfort of people. Anyway, that was a side note. But so anyway, let me explain to you. So I did not know how I was going to take the trip, right? But what happened was my aunt, her husband had passed away. And so they had like an extraordinary amount of money, and she was a very kind person. And so she had mentioned to my mother that she was like, oh, if Raquel ever needs any money or anything, I would be happy to help her out, you know? And she just said, you know, one day she called me on the telephone and she said, you know, if you ever need money, I know it was just out of the blue too, like, but this was a synchronicity that worked in my favor. And she just told me, she's like, just spout off a number, you know, I mean, but I was modest. I didn't want to say like an extravagant amount, but I wanted enough to cover my airline ticket. So I only took the certain amount for the airline ticket. I said, how about this? While I'm down there having my vacation and doing my workshop, what if I work to pay off the amount? Like you just loan me the money for my airline ticket. And when I get there, I'll like do some organizing, or I'll clean your, you know, your home, you know, once a week or whatever, until I sort of pay off how much the airline ticket was. And she's like, oh, that will be nice. Okay. So that's how I got my ticket to go there. So we're working up to like the week before. So I've gotten this airline ticket. I'm working on, because I'm just planning on like, I just want to get away, right? To really make up my mind. And a week prior to me coming to Florida to visit my parents, I had gotten another message. Now, this has been a long time, right? This is like since California. I had not talked to Jeffrey. Like, I didn't know what happened to him. I didn't know, you know, obviously there was nothing there. So I get a message just out of the blue, right? 6 days, you guys, before I'm planning my trip to Florida. And I had not told anyone. No one knew about it at all. So, and I get a message, and it's from Jeffrey, and he's like, just out of curiosity, do you believe in soulmates, twin flames? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I totally do, right? And that was about it. And so then, like, there was a couple of more days, and I noticed that, like, on my Facebook, you know, I noticed when I would post pictures or like some kind of quote, because that was on my personal page, I never spouted off. Like, I was normally just doing inspired posts, you know. If you're a friend of mine, you know that that's all I do, like just really inspirational things, right? And so I noticed that he would like them, or he would just say, oh, well said, or something like that, but nothing inappropriate or anything. So then a couple of more days, so this is bringing me up to like 4 days before I go to come to Florida, right, to visit my folks. And he says, remember when I asked you about if you believed in twin flames or soulmates? I said, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I totally do, you know. And he goes, well, because I had a dream about you, and we were walking hand in hand along this beach. And I just thought, I mean, I didn't, and for some reason, I didn't think that it was weird. Like, he never, like, the energy that I felt, although I had never spoken to him verbally, or I had only seen that one picture of him, because he was really the kind of person, like still how he is, he's not the kind of person that's like really, really out there on his social media. You know what I mean? Like, he'll post, you know, little memes or things like that, or little fun jokes or something. Or I think there was like, I kind of started deep diving on his page, like after we stopped talking on the messenger, because that was all it was. It was never in anything inappropriate. So that is the amazing thing, is that, you know, I know there's a lot of times like people will be like, oh my gosh, how did you not know that like he was like a crazy person, or that was like a line that he, you know, would give to all kinds of people or whatever. Like, I didn't, but I really focused on, you know, me being pushed out, which means that like, I just knew that like I was going to meet my twin flame. I mean, I had been living the law of attraction, so I really, really was in that zone, you know. And all of the things that I had learned from those 50,000 plus hours of listening to Abraham Hicks, I mean, every second, reading all the books and over. I mean, like, because once I get hold of something, I'm like a bulldog, you know, like I will disembowel every aspect of it, and then I'll go to work on using it as like experimenting, because I think that's one of the biggest things, is that I don't like when people will like coaches will give you coaching advice, right? Which is fine, but remember that it's always subjective. But the thing that I don't like is like, I'm never going to tell you things, like I said prior on the other video, is that I'm not going to explain to you like what I did, you know, to go viral on Instagram until I've done it, or go viral on my YouTube channel until I've done it, or, you know, manifesting my forever home and property. But a lot of things I've manifested, thousands of things. So we're bringing up to, remember I said about Jeffrey. Okay, so then like 3 days later, he texts me and says, you know, I saw you in a dream and whatever. Well, for some reason, I was just like, why don't you text me? Just text me on my phone and we'll chat, you know, instead of being on Messenger. And so, for whatever reason, I was just going with the flow, you know, and no one knew it, but I knew that I was leaving and I was going to ultimately divorce my husband. Like, no one knew though, not my family. I had no best mate, best girlfriend or anything. So no one knew what I was doing, because I was doing everything in my mind and I was keeping my mouth zipped. So, but I knew that. And so that's why I actually pursued that friendship with Jeffrey, just because it was nice to have someone to like chat with, you know. And anyway, so we started chatting, and we were just like, everything that we talked about, like it seriously was like too good to be true. Like, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I left my phone or something. Like one day I remember, now see, I've never heard his voice at all or anything like that. Now he's heard mine because he's listened to my videos and all that, right? But I've never heard, you know, or talked to him like FaceTime or anything. And so we chat for the next couple of days. Now that's just only the couple of days before, and he still doesn't know I'm even coming to Florida. And the only reason I had known that he lived in Tampa was because it says, you know, like where they're located on your Facebook. But I didn't know if that was true or not, because some people like have a certain place and it's like they've moved 3 times and they never change it, you know. So I'm like, he's from Tampa, so he's close to where my folks live. That's kind of cool, you know, maybe we could hang out or something. But that was as far as I went with it, you know. Because I really was coming to get my head on straight and sort through some mental stuff that I was working on, right? So he, like, you know, we just talked about different things like, oh, do you know, what's your favorite pie? And do you like cake? Or, you know, just different things. And it seemed like everything that we talked about, it was so like ironic. Now I look back and say, no, it's because we're twin flames. But like everything that he liked, I liked, but it was this opposite because of me being female and him male, which was so fucking weird. It was like, you couldn't write this shit, you know, like how it turned out. So I'm like really liking him, but it wasn't anything like I was like, is he my soulmate? Like that didn't still even occur to me, you know, because I don't know why, I just didn't. But I really did start thinking about him, you know. I'm like, I wonder what he sounds like. So like the day before I got on my flight, I wanted to talk to him, like verbally talk to him, just because I want to hear what he sounded like, you know. And it was the craziest thing. Like I remember I was going to pick up my son that's passed, you know, Sawyer. I was going to pick him up because I told him, like, he's like, Mom, would you come give me a hitch, let me hitch a ride from you? Because I was going to like the grocery or something. I was going to market, and I was like, yeah, I'll come pick you up and I'll take you to work and then whatever. And so after I dropped my boy off, I was like, I want to talk to this Jeffrey person, you know. And so I called, and like he wouldn't answer the phone. Like he was so bashful. And so finally he picked up the phone, and I was just like, have you ever like had this feeling in your gut? You're like the voice was just like, it rung so true in my ears. I was just like, like I couldn't believe how much I loved his voice. Like the voice just drove me nuts, you know. And it still it gives me butterflies when I hear him. And so he said he had felt like, this is later on after we like started dating and stuff, but he had said the same thing about me. Like I would watch you and think like, that is the person I'm supposed to be with. But like I was married. He didn't know like she's getting a divorce and all that. Like he had no idea what was going on in my world. And he even said that. He's like, you know, I think it's probably inappropriate. Like, maybe we should wait till you get divorced or something. Like, we shouldn't be talking and such. It's not appropriate, you know. So that made me actually even like him more, because I thought he was a bit respectful, right? Anyway, so, yeah. So I get to Florida, you know, I chat with him. We talk and everything. And I was just like, couldn't get over how much I loved his voice and such. And so that was about it. And like we would text back and forth, but it was nothing really. It was just like being friendly, and that was it. So I get to Florida, and obviously I'm thinking about him though, because I'm like, gosh, I really like him, because we got along so well, and like we seemed to jive so good. Like it was so effortless, you know, it was effortless. And so then when I was here for like, I think I was here for like going on my 2nd week. I wanted to see him, and he was like kept like refusing, like, no, I don't think it's a good thing for you to like come see me or anything like that. And so I was just like taken back a bit, because I was like, I don't understand why. Like maybe is he shy, or like whatever. But anyway, I ended up being like super forceful, and I was like, yeah, well, I'm coming anyway. I'll be there in like 20 minutes, you know. And so yeah, so what happened was it was like, I remember seeing him, like I got out of the car and he didn't answer the door. Like, I knew he was home though, because I had just chatted with him, texting him saying I'm gonna be there in like 20 minutes. So I knew he was at his house. And I had his address because, how do you think? I had his address because I had sent him the Starbucks coupon. So is that the craziest thing? That's how I knew like where he lived. Like you're like, how did you get his address if he didn't give it to you? Because I had it. And that's the synchronicity that's like crazy mad. Isn't that mad? So anyway, I had it on my fan page, you know, like I can't remember which account or whatever, but like, you know, you reach out to them through email and they've got to give you, you know, so hey, I can send you your gift card, whatever. You know what's so crazy is like after Jeffrey and I got married, so anyway, it just moved like extremely quick like that. Like I called my husband and I had packed everything, like, because I didn't know what I was literally going to do, but I thought just in case I do it, because I didn't want to have any issues with my ex-mate, that I took like my birth certificate, all my important documents and papers and everything, passports, everything, and stuck it in my luggage. And I just figured like, okay, what can I live on for, you know, however long I'm at my folks' home? If I never get a chance to get back there, like, how can I live? I think that's Jeffrey. But anyway, so yeah, that's what happened. So I ended up meeting up with Jeffrey, and like when I saw him, it's like our eyes like met. Like I knew him because remember I had told you that I said when I see him, I'm going to know him because of when our eyes meet. That was something that I wanted to happen, and it did. And I was just like, I know this is my person. Like it was crazy, and it went so fast. And like, although when I told people like in my family, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a divorce and then like I'm totally gonna hook up with this guy or whatever, like people thought I was insane. Like they were like, what in the you know, like, what are you doing? You don't know if he's a mass murderer. Like you do not know this person at all, you know. Anyway, but it worked out wonderful. And the fact of the matter is, like, no one literally probably, there's a lot of people in my family that did not believe that, like, there's no way you could know this guy for like 6 days before you got to Florida and never have talked to him but only like once or twice on the telephone. Like that's never heard of. But that's the synchronicities of like when you're getting your twin flame. That's why I'm telling you anything is possible, and everything, if you look and you're living in the end, none of that shit matters. Like I got my divorce because I used to say that too. Like I manifested that. I would say like how you want your life to turn out, like that's what you tell yourself, that's what you affirm. I was like, I'm going to get a divorce, everything's going to go well, my kids are going to love me, everything's going to be positive, I'm not going to have any problems with anything, I'm going to be able to do it really quick and easy, and it's going to be effortless. Like there's not going to be a lot of hard things that will happen. I'll get the divorce easy, everything will go smooth. And it did. It totally went smooth. My aunt gives me a chunk load of money when her husband passed from her will, and so I lived on that, like a big chunk of money. She just gave it to me. She's like, you don't have to pay it back, you know, you can just have it. Like this is for you to live, and you can live at your parents', but like, because I wanted to get my own cell phone, like I wanted to have everything in my name, because when you're dealing with someone in a like a domestic situation, like that's another reason that I wanted to leave the state, because, and I had to do everything like secretly, because I had there was a lot of like crazy things that could have went wrong had I have been very verbal and open about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think people that are in like domestic situations like understand what I'm saying. Like it's not like you can just say, hey, I'm gonna move down the street and divorce you. Like no, you don't do that sort of thing. Like they'll be like, no, I'm gonna fucking lock you in this room, you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? So you have to think in the way that's like most beneficial and safest for you. So that's why it worked so well. Like, I really learned how to play that game, if you want to look at it like that. That's why, you know, people were like a little bit disturbed that I left the marriage that way, because I had hid it for so long. They thought I was like happy-go-lucky girl, and I had played the game for so long. Like, then when I say, no, this is actually the truth, I've been lying to you all this time, they didn't want to believe me. And there's a lot of people that I went to school with, that like friends with my husband, like in us in high school, because we went to the same high school. Now listen, what's so funny is Jeffrey Sean knew my ex-mate in high school. I never knew him, because I went to different schools in different zones, so I had no clue. Different districts, you know, like, although it's across town, but like, you know how like they have borders and boundary lines and stuff, like, no, you go to that school and you go to this east side. So I never knew Jeffrey Sean went to the same school that my ex did and everything, like that. He knew of him. I'm just like, what? It's crazy. But yeah, so that, I mean, that's a whole nother thing if you ever want to know like even more details about like how anything excuse me, like how anything else ever, you know, happened or whatever. Look at my pigtails. Ain't they fun? Aren't they funny because they're so tiny, like they're so little, because I went wackadoo on my hair. Like, I just cut my hair, you know, just trying to keep it all the same length or whatever. And so I just started chopping. Jerry's like, what happened? You got like a bob, you know? Your hair looks like a bob. And but yeah, so anyway, but that's fine, it works good. But yeah, so that's actually how the whole manifestation unfolded. And I hope I didn't leave anything out. You know, there's other things, but I think those are the, like the gist of it. Like, you get the understanding of like how it actually unfolded, and how it doesn't matter like how difficult you think it might be. Like, keep your mind on the eye on the prize. You know what I'm saying? Eye on the prize. Forget about how it's going to work out, because when you start doing that, then you start stressing and getting anxious, and then that it's not imprinting in your subconscious. Like, the old belief system will start to overpower the new thing that you're trying to imprint on your subconscious. You know what I'm saying? So do not think of that. And I know it's tough, guys. I know, and gals, but if you want any help or anything like that, like, I would be sure to I would surely be happy to help you if you ever want help, you know. I mean, usually you can find everything on my videos or my blog, and I do stories a lot, like me being a writer and publishing my books and doing my artistry and all that, and my coaching. And I don't do coaching a lot. Unless someone, you know, contacts me privately or something like that. I do have, you know, certain clients, but that's not been my main stream of income or anything like that. It's just fun sometimes to help some people, but it's not something that I normally like advertise or anything like that. So, but if you ever want help with manifesting your specific person or your twin flame, you know I'm your gal. Okay, because first of all, you got to believe that people have twin flames. What's the difference in twin flames and soulmates? Because there is a difference. And if you want to manifest your twin flame, because if you believe that you want to meet your twin flame or your specific person, then you will. Because if you have that desire, that means that you are meant to have them. So that's a good indication that you're like, well, how do I know if I have? Well, if you have that desire, then you do. Then it is in concrete. It is, you know. I want you to understand that. But yeah, so I'm like living proof that I manifested him in 8 weeks. So yeah, I hope this helped, and I hope you have a lovely day. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Toodle pip, darling.